The world moves fast. Deadlines, demands, distractions. We're taught to run, to strive, to stay ahead, but somewhere along the way, we've forgotten how to be here. Not someday, not when it's quiet, but right now, in the noise, in the motion, in the middle of our busy lives. This is not about escaping the world. It's about awakening within it. So take a breath. You don't have to slow down to find peace. You only have to return. Welcome to Peace in the Fast Lane, the illusion of more. They told you to hustle, to move faster, to wake up earlier, grind harder, do more, be more. Success was painted as speed, efficiency, productivity. Your value became tied to how much you could handle without breaking. And you believed it. You sprinted through your days, checking boxes, chasing goals, outrunning stillness. But deep down, something didn't feel right. You were doing everything right, but feeling everything wrong. You were exhausted, disconnected, and somehow empty. And here's the truth no one told you. More is not always better. Faster is not always progress. Busy is not always meaningful. Somewhere along the way, we confused movement with momentum. We thought forward meant fulfilled. But the truth is, peace was never about slowing down. It was about waking up, right here in the middle of your fast-paced life. You don't have to change your life to change your experience of it. What you need is not a retreat to the mountains, but a return to presence in your kitchen, your commute, your calendar. Because what you're really searching for isn't rest from the world, it's rest within it. Peace in the fast lane isn't a contradiction. It's a choice, a practice, a way of being in motion without being lost in it. It starts by reclaiming your attention, your breath, your body, your sense of now. That's where the path begins. And the first step is seeing clearly. Seeing that you've been running not toward something, but away. Away from discomfort. Away from stillness. Away from the part of you that already knows. The goal was never out there. The real success is not what you build, but how present you are while building it. It's how you feel when you wake up in the morning. It's whether you remember who you are when the world forgets. And the good news, you don't need to quit your job or cancel your dreams. You only need to shift the way you move, to move with awareness, to act with intention, to return again and again to the stillness inside the speed. This is not about balance. It's about integration, about being in the world, but not of it, engaged, but not consumed, productive, but not disconnected. You can live fast and still feel deeply. You can chase goals without abandoning your soul. You can move quickly and still live slowly on the inside. Because peace isn't the absence of movement. It's the presence of mindfulness within it. Awareness in motion. You don't have to leave the highway to find stillness. You simply have to stop driving on autopilot. That's where awareness begins, in the space between unconscious routine and conscious presence. Most people move through life like passengers in their own bodies. They wake up, check their phones before they even breathe, pour coffee while answering emails, talk without listening, walk without feeling the ground beneath their feet. And by noon, they've already missed half their life. Not because they didn't do anything, but because they weren't there for any of it. The truth is, awareness doesn't require you to stop what you're doing. It just asks you to arrive in it, fully, deliberately, with your attention resting where your body is. When you're brushing your teeth, just brush. Feel the rhythm. Smell the toothpaste. Hear the water. When you're walking to your car, just walk. Don't check your phone. Don't rehearse that future conversation. Just walk. Feel your foot strike the ground. Feel the air. See the sky. These tiny moments are not meaningless. They are your life. The practice isn't to change what you do, it's to change how you do it. When you drive, breathe. When you eat, taste. When you speak, pause. When you listen, listen. When you feel overwhelmed, don't fight it, notice it. Welcome it with curiosity, not judgment. This is mindfulness in motion. The stillness within the speed. You can be doing everything, but still be deeply at peace because your awareness is anchored. You're no longer a slave to distraction. You're no longer lost in mental noise. You're here. And when you're here, the quality of your life changes. Not because your life becomes easier, but because it becomes real. You stop rushing through the beauty. You stop missing the miracle in the mundane. You start experiencing your life instead of just managing it. Awareness transforms stress into signal. It turns reaction into response. It turns shallow into sacred. The office becomes a meditation hall. The grocery store becomes a place to practice patience. The traffic jam becomes a bell of mindfulness. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. Every delay becomes a doorway. Every routine becomes a ritual. But this only happens when you're awake. The good news? You don't need more time. You don't need more knowledge. You just need to notice. Right now, in this very moment, can you feel your breath? Can you soften your jaw? Can you let your shoulders drop? Can you be here without needing to fix or change anything? That's the beginning. That's the crack where the light enters. Not in the perfect moment, but in this one. This breath. This heartbeat. Peace in the fast lane is not found by pulling over. It's found by remembering you're the one behind the wheel. Turning stress into strength. Stress isn't the enemy. It's the messenger. It shows up to tell you something, that you're misaligned, disconnected, overwhelmed, or trying to carry what isn't yours. Most of us don't listen. We suppress. We power through. We push harder. We drink, scroll, numb, avoid. But what if stress was a sacred signal? What if instead of ignoring it, you could meet it with awareness? The first step is to stop seeing stress as a sign of weakness. It's not failure. It's feedback. It's your body whispering, come back to breath. Come back to body. Come back to balance. When you stop fighting stress, it becomes your teacher. The tension in your chest, a signal that your heart needs attention. The headache behind your eyes, a message from your mind asking for rest. The tightness in your gut, a call to ground yourself. Mindfulness doesn't erase stress, it rewires your relationship with it. You start to respond instead of react. You begin to pause before speaking. You begin to breathe before acting. You begin to feel before judging. This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. You realize you're not drowning because life is too much. You're drowning because you've forgotten to return to yourself. Stress thrives on absence, on disconnection, but it melts in the light of attention. The moment you acknowledge what you feel without trying to fix or run, the healing begins. And from that space, you build resilience. Not by hardening, but by softening. Not by numbing, but by noticing. Not by speeding up, but by showing up. When you're aware, stress becomes an invitation to check your boundaries, to clarify your priorities, to release control, to remember that you're human, that you can't carry everything, that you're not meant to. Letting go isn't giving up, it's realignment. The tree bends with the wind, so it doesn't break. And so can you. You can be strong without being rigid. You can be busy without being burned out. You can be ambitious without being addicted to doing. This is the new strength. Not armor, but awareness. Not numbing, but feeling. Not control, but presence. And presence changes how stress lives in your body. Your nervous system begins to settle. Your breath deepens. Your shoulders soften. Your jaw releases. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to trust life, even in chaos, even in uncertainty, even in moments that used to unravel you. This isn't magic, it's mindfulness, a practiced way of being that invites the sacred back into the ordinary. That says, yes, this is hard, but I can meet it with presence. And that presence becomes power. The power to stay centered in a storm. The power to speak with clarity under pressure. The power to be kind in the face of conflict. The power to move fast without losing yourself in the momentum. This is how stress becomes strength, not by avoiding it, but by transforming your relationship with it through the practice of awareness. Depth over distraction. In a world that moves fast, connection becomes shallow. We text instead of talk. We scroll instead of sit. We say, "I'm fine," when we're actually breaking. And somehow, surrounded by people, we feel more alone than ever. But here's the truth no one says out loud. Busyness has become a shield. A way to avoid intimacy. A way to protect ourselves from being truly seen. We move fast not just to keep up, but to avoid slowing down enough to feel, to listen, to look someone in the eye and let ourselves be vulnerable. But connection doesn't come from doing more. It comes from showing up differently, from being fully there when you're with someone, from putting your phone down not just physically, but mentally, from hearing not just the words but the emotion underneath, from being present even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient. True connection asks for depth, and depth doesn't require time, it requires presence. 5 minutes of real attention can mean more than 5 hours of distracted coexistence, and that depth can change lives. Think about the last time someone truly listened to you. No interruptions, no advice, just presence. How did that feel? Safe, healing, human. Now imagine being that for someone else, in your friendships, in your family, at work, in line at the grocery store. You don't have to be a guru. You just have to be here. People aren't looking for perfect words. They're looking for real presence, for warmth, for attention that doesn't try to fix, but simply holds. This is how we begin to heal the loneliness of a fast world, not by slowing everything down, but by deepening our attention where we already are. You don't have to escape to nature to find connection. You can find it across the table, on a crowded train, during a 5-minute break. It begins by making space, eye contact, silence, curiosity, empathy. These small things are revolutionary now because most people don't give them. Most people don't know how. And that's not because they're bad, it's because they've forgotten. But when you choose depth over distraction, you remind them. You model what it means to be human. You create a pocket of stillness in a noisy world. And that stillness invites others in. It says, you're safe here. You can be real. You can breathe. That's the gift of presence. It requires nothing but your attention. Yet it gives everything that truly matters: trust, connection, belonging. These things aren't found in the rush. They're born in the pause, in the breath between words, in the quiet space between one heartbeat and the next. The world won't slow down, but you can choose to be the one who does. Not in your pace, but in your presence. And in doing so, you'll discover that peace isn't just found in solitude. It's also found in the sacred space between souls when both are awake enough to notice. Living fully without burning out. You are not meant to burn in order to shine. You are not born to be exhausted just to be worthy. But somewhere along the way, we began to equate burnout with success. We glorified the grind. We romanticized the struggle. We believed that rest was weakness, that slowing down meant falling behind, and that if we just pushed a little harder, we'd finally feel enough. But what if burnout isn't a sign that you're failing? What if it's a signal that you've been giving too much of yourself to the wrong things? That you've been pouring energy into proving rather than living, into performing rather than being, into pleasing rather than aligning? Living fully is not the same as running on empty. A full life is not about more activity. It's about more meaning, more depth, more truth, more presence. It's about being alive in what you do, not just surviving it. You can work hard and still be whole. You can move fast and still be mindful. The key is alignment. When your actions reflect your values, when your schedule honors your well-being, when your ambition is rooted in love, not lack, that's when speed becomes sustainable. That's when success feels sacred. The way to avoid burnout is not to stop caring, it's to care differently. To care with boundaries. To care with discernment. To care without abandoning yourself. Ask yourself, what drains me? What nourishes me? What have I said yes to that my body says no to? What expectations am I carrying that were never mine to begin with? These questions don't require dramatic answers, but they do require honesty. And from that honesty comes clarity. And from clarity, choice. You begin to choose rest before collapse, silence before reaction, breathing before breaking. And slowly, you realize that your worth is not in what you produce. It's in who you are when you're still. Your presence is your offering. Your awareness is your anchor. Your self-kindness is your fuel. You learn to notice when your energy shifts, when your body tightens, when your mind spirals. You learn to pause, to recalibrate, to give yourself what you need, not as a reward for exhaustion, but as a rhythm of life. And you stop apologizing for needing space, for protecting your peace, for choosing depth over display. Because you understand, your light cannot serve others if you're burning yourself to keep it alive. So you create space to recharge, not once a year, but daily, in small ways. A moment of breath before a meeting, a walk without your phone, a night where you choose sleep over productivity, a morning where you sit in silence before the world asks anything of you. These are not luxuries. These are lifelines. These are the rituals that keep your spirit intact, that keep your fire burning without consuming you. You begin to live not in extremes, but in rhythm, not in sprints, but in cycles, not for approval, but from alignment. And that alignment becomes your compass. You begin to measure success not by how much you do, but by how deeply you live. Not by how busy you are, but by how connected you feel. Not by how others see you, but by how at peace you are with yourself. This is what it means to live fully without burning out, to give your energy where it matters, to move with purpose, not pressure, to create, serve, love, build, and still rest in the center of your own being. That kind of living is not soft. It's sacred. It's not lazy. It's wise. It's not selfish. It's sustainable. And it's the only way to stay lit without setting yourself on fire. Coming home without stopping. You don't need to stop moving to come home to yourself. You don't need to escape the life you've built to find peace within it. You just need to remember, again and again, that presence is always available. That peace isn't found at the end of a finish line. It's found right here, in the space between one inhale and the next. You've been taught to chase everything: success, validation, security, even joy. But now you're learning to receive, to soften, to slow down, not in pace, but in perception, to reclaim moments that were always yours, but that you gave away to noise. This is the quiet revolution, the practice of being fully alive in the middle of motion, of anchoring into stillness without leaving your seat, of finding depth without stepping out of the stream. You realize now, mindfulness isn't a retreat. It's a return to your body, to your values, to the truth beneath the noise. And that return doesn't require time, it only requires willingness. It's not about changing your life overnight. It's about changing how you meet your life, one breath, one choice, one ordinary moment at a time. You begin to live in rhythm with something deeper than your schedule. You begin to respond from a place beneath your reactivity. You begin to move with purpose, not panic. Speak with clarity, not performance. Rest without guilt. Work without losing your soul. Love without fear. And through all of this, you remember who you are: not just a doer, not just a chaser, not just a title or a role. You are the space between, the awareness behind the doing, the calm beneath the rush. You are the eye of the storm, the quiet within the city, the breath in the blur. And no one can take that from you. The world may pull, but you are rooted. Life may speed, but you are centered. You may be in the fast lane, but you are no longer lost in it. Because now you know the way back. You know that the sacred doesn't live somewhere far away. It lives in your attention, in the way you drink your tea, in the way you hold silence, in the way you listen to your own heartbeat and say, "I'm here, that is enough." That is everything. You don't have to do more to be whole. You don't have to prove anything to be free. You just have to remember what you already are: present, aware, alive. This is peace in the fast lane. Not a finish line, but a way of living. Not a goal, but a grounded returning. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are simply coming home to yourself in motion. And the more you return, the more you realize you never left. You don't need to stop moving to come home to yourself. You don't need to abandon your responsibilities, leave your job, or escape the city to find the stillness you crave. That's the illusion we've been sold, that peace only lives far from the noise, that awakening only happens on mountaintops or meditation cushions. But the truth is quieter and much more radical. Peace is not elsewhere. It's here, now, in this life, in this breath, in the beating heart of your ordinary, fast-paced world. You've run long enough. You've chased enough versions of someday. You've been fast, efficient, effective. You've kept up. But now you're ready to wake up, not by slowing down, but by shifting within. By remembering that stillness is not about stopping, it's about showing up fully to what already is. It's about moving from reaction to response, from doing to being while doing, from burnout to alignment, from fragmentation to wholeness. You start to realize your life doesn't need to get quieter, you do. Not in volume, but in presence, in clarity, in groundedness. You can be in motion without being swept away. You can move fast without abandoning your depth. You can meet deadlines and still be present in your breath. You can live fully and softly. And that softness, your inner gentleness, is not weakness. It's wisdom. In a world that tells you to harden, to push, to chase, choosing softness is a revolution. Choosing presence is a rebellion. Choosing to breathe instead of break is an act of quiet power. That's what it means to live awakened in the fast lane. You're no longer looking for the exit ramp, you're redesigning the way you move through it all. You integrate what you've learned. You carry your practices like invisible tools. A pause before speaking. A breath before reacting. A glance inward before deciding. A hand on your chest in the middle of a stressful day, reminding yourself, I am here. I am safe. I am not my urgency. Slowly, you become the calm within the storm. And others feel it. They can't quite name it, but something about your presence is different. You're not moving slower, but you're not rushing either. You're present, grounded, alive, awake. And in a culture starving for realness, your presence is medicine. You give people permission to stop pretending, to stop overperforming, to simply be. And in that shared stillness, something opens, something sacred. You remember what life was meant to feel like, not always easy, but always real. Not always peaceful on the outside, but rooted on the inside. You're no longer driven by fear, but by meaning. You no longer live in reaction, but in resonance. You speak more truth. You hold space for more silence. You prioritize what nourishes over what impresses. And slowly, life changes. Not because the city becomes quieter, but because you do. You start to find joy in ordinary moments, the way sunlight hits your desk in the afternoon, the warmth of a cup of coffee held with both hands, the sound of laughter through a wall, the rhythm of your own footsteps on concrete. These are the moments you used to rush past. Now they're where you live. You're no longer just surviving your life. You're inhabiting it. You're no longer seeking peace, you are peace. And that peace is not passive. It moves with you. It breathes through you. It anchors you in the deepest truth of all, that you are not separate from this life. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late. You are here. And here is enough. Here is sacred. Here is home. You come home without stopping, without quitting, without disappearing. You come home while the traffic hums, while your inbox fills, while the world keeps spinning, and you realize you never needed to escape. You only needed to return, again and again, as often as it takes, as often as you forget, until remembering becomes natural, until presence becomes your rhythm, until awareness becomes your way. This is the path. This is the practice. This is what it means to find peace in the fast lane, not someday, not somewhere, but now. You've moved fast. You've carried weight. You've pushed through. But now you're learning a new way. A way of moving that's rooted in presence. A way of living that doesn't burn you out, but brings you home. Peace isn't waiting at the end of your to-do list. It's here in your breath, in your body, in this very moment. You don't have to escape your life to live it fully. You just have to wake up inside it. You are the stillness. You are the light. You are the peace in the fast lane.